Hi, Katzcradul here. I've been out in the garden this morning, and although it's not hot, it's kind of overcast and cool, and the wind is blowing a little bit, I'm still a little tired. And so I came in to get me a glass of ice water and to write mostly because I wanted to remember the name of them, and planted Teton hybrid spinach on the east wall of the shop, because if I like that spinach, when I go to buy it next year, I will not remember what I bought. So I try to write things down, and just for the record, in case any raised eyebrows when I said hybrid spinach, I fully believe in utilizing and using great hybrids while we have them available. They are hybridized for a reason, because they take two great traits from two different kinds of spinach and incorporate that into one, and you can find hybrids that are very advantageous to grow in your area. Either they're hardier in cold weather, or hardier in cold weather, or they're drought resistant, or whatever. So I'm a real believer in using. There's some great hybrids out there that I love. Just recognize that if hybrids are all that you have, you're not going to be able to collect seed from them. So I have both, but I am not opposed to hybridized vegetables at all. We picked strawberries again this morning. My intent was to make jam, but Prepper A protested and said, "But Mom, we're not sick of them." "Yeah, you don't make jam until we're sick of them." And so I'm not gonna make jam this morning. We will eat these as well, but I've pretty much had my fill of strawberries the last week or so. So it may be getting time to make some jam, or to rinse them off and put them in the freezer. I like to quick freeze them, which means taking the little hull off, washing them off, getting all the water off of them, and then I sit them on a wax paper lined cookie sheet where they're not touching, put them in the freezer, freeze them till they're hard, which doesn't take very long, take them off the wax paper and seal them in a Ziploc bag, and then I've got strawberries for smoothie or whatever. I can even make jam later out of the frozen strawberries when I have more time. So anyway, there's the strawberries for this morning. But then I went ahead and picked most of the remaining cilantro, and I'm going to do that like I did my basil. You can go back and watch my basil video. In fact, I'll link it for you, where I take all the greenery off. I blend it up in the blender with some kind of acid, and it can be lemon juice, which is citric acid. It can be ascorbic acid, any kind of acid you want, which will keep it nice and vibrant green. It'll keep it from turning that gray-green. Blend it into a pulp, put it in a Ziploc bag that I freeze flat, and I put it very thin in the Ziploc bag. It may take 2 or 3 small quart Ziploc bags to do this much. I lay it flat, freeze it flat in the freezer, and then when it's frozen and I want to use it in a soup or a stew or salsa or whatever, all I have to do is open that bag and break off a piece of it and throw it into whatever I'm making. There's a reason I grow my own. I'm going to take you to the computer and show you something somebody sent me today, and maybe it will encourage you to grow your own as well. Let's go to the computer. I had something else to tell you that I forgot. You'll see here I just took these out of my pocket. These are my pantyhose ties that I use in the garden. And I had to go out today and tie up the apple tree. It's really going crazy and growing and getting beautiful, so I was out there tying it up. So that's what these were. In case you were wondering what this little mess was on the table, I just pulled them out of my pocket. I'll show you the apple tree before too long. Okay, now to the computer. All right, here's what I wanted to send you. A friend of mine sent me this email, and the title of it is 18 Most Sickening Food Ingredients. And of course they show here, this is a food inspector and a cow at the trough, and this of course is pink slime. We all know what that is. But then when you scroll down to the bottom, there's 2 things you can click on: 8 bugs you don't know you're eating, and ooh, gross, yuck, the 3 dirtiest everyday foods. And I want to share, I'll go to the bug page with you. They allow so many bugs per whatever package of food. Oh, I think I already have that up. Here it is. Whatever package of food. And they list thrips, aphids, mites. Mites are a problem because if you're allergic to mites and then you're eating them in your frozen vegetables as well, you could have a little bit of reaction. maggots, mostly found in canned mushroom, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, pizza sauce, that kind of thing. Fruit flies, they're in citrus juice and in raisins. Corn earworms, they're in corn, probably part of the crunch you get there. Cowpea bugs, that would be in black-eyed peas you buy, frozen or canned. Caterpillars, of course. So, I mean, I think everybody knows that there's bugs in what we eat. But here's the 3 dirtiest foods to eat, and this is from Healthy Living. Number 1 is cantaloupe. Cantaloupe really has a lot of bacteria, salmonella and shigella, especially on the outside. You should scrub your cantaloupe with a mild dishwashing liquid for 15 to 30 seconds using that scrub brush. Rinse it off, dry it off, and then you can eat it. But you can just imagine how much bacteria could be harbored in all that webbing on the outside of the melons. Okay, so the next one would be peaches. Really, really dirty. The fuzz on the outside is really dirty. It harbors a lot of pesticides. The only fruit that contains more is apples, and I think probably the reason apples didn't make it was because a lot of people peeled them. But I sure would peel my peaches too. I wouldn't just bite into one of them. And you can read this in more in depth. There's a lot more I'm leaving out. Okay, and here's a really nasty one, and it's green onions. And this is one of the reasons you really want to grow your own green onions. One, you know when they cut off, your green onions are not pointed on the tips. They're cut off. They've been cut off, which that's just an opening, an easy access for bacteria. Sometimes they're grown in fields where there's human waste because the workers in Mexico, South America, lots of other countries, they don't have porta potties out there. The field is their porta potty, and so that's the problem with green onions. The other thing about green onions I noticed at the grocery store is usually, I mean, they're not individually bagged. They're all lumped together. And lots of times grocery stores think it's real cute to have those shallow trays that they put ice in. Well, if you're the last one in the store at night and they're down to 3 or 4 bunches of green onions, those green onions have fallen over in that tray where everybody has come through and touched, and the green stems are full of water. I mean, just think about it. That's pretty gross. So you really want to be growing your green onions. And in fact, when there's food poisoning outbreaks, lots of times green onions are the culprit. I don't know how many of you remember the Taco Bell problem. It's been a good many years ago now, but green onions are problematic. So just want to share that with you. Another motivation for us to grow our own food. So the 3 you need to look out for: cantaloupe, peaches, and green onions. And that's going to be all for now. Katzcradul.